Welcome to my presentation. It's Zainab, and I'm going to start with philosophy, a precursor to science. Greek science and mathematics begins with the Ionian school of natural philosophy shortly after 600 BC. Thales of Miletus is regarded as the founder of Ionian school. He probably studied in Egypt, where he was exposed to new ideas, and also probably studied in Mesopotamia, studied astronomy, and this is believed that he predicted a solar eclipse, searched for a unifying principle or essence underlying of phenomena and identified this essence as water. Anaximander was a pupil of Thales. He is believed to have written the early scientific book, now lost. He formulated a theory of the origin. He believed that life originated in the sea. The presence of shells and marine fossils was for him to prove that the sea covered much of Earth's surface, and he thought that last humans have originally resembled fish. His ideas, passed through several philosophers, gradually came to be the four elements. The earliest version of quest for theory of everything also can say for this: fire, air, earth, and water. Ionian philosophers and their followers, therefore, introduced the earliest form of scientific methods, which was based on recognition and observation with very little experimentation. Leucippus and Democritus believed reality to be embodied in matter, while Pythagoras viewed the universe as form and numbers. Two teachers, Plato, heavily influenced by Pythagoras, and Aristotle, who relied more on observation, became central to the Greek science. Both led to schools in Athens more than 200 years after Thales. Plato's academy promoted a pure form of mathematics. Aristotle, whose school was the Lyceum, became the most important scholar in Greek antiquity. The Hellenistic world and the Roman Empire. Hellenistic. Greek colonies were planted around the Mediterranean Sea, and many who were not Greek themselves turned to the Greek language and adopted Greek ways. This larger Greek culture is called Hellenistic, after the Greek for their own people. In the other people called them barbars. So not like that, they called Hellenistic. Alexander the Great conquered the world from Greece to India. On the spread of Hellenic culture and science was one of the results of this. The center of Greek culture moved to Alexandria after Roman rule became predominant with occupation of Greece in 146 BC. After the 3rd century CE, Hellenistic science went into decline. This is because the rise of the Christian Church, which associated science with hedonism, amplified this process. For example, the largest library at the time was destroyed, but Batavia was murdered for her pagan ideas. Roman Empire is notorious for its limited number of advances over such a long period of time, especially when compared with Greek and Hellenistic science. There was almost no Roman science as such. However, that many Hellenistic advances occurred under Roman rule. When it comes to technology in Europe, it can be argued that more happened in the half millennium after the fall of the Roman Empire than during the half millennium that the empire existed. One important mechanical advance was the development of gears. Other cultures of the period, at the beginning of this period, Egypt and Babylon, both Egypt and Mesopotamia embraced Greek culture after the conquest by Alexandria, were still powerful and centers of intellectual life. The Persian Empire, a small useful invention, was a bow made from horn that was more practical than the wooden bow, but they had the resources to build some remarkable canals and bridges. Chinese astronomers began to compile star maps 400 years before the first Hellenistic version, but they did not develop a complete theoretical basis for astronomy as the Greek astronomers did. Major advances began start with astronomy. Although the Greeks were less accurate observers of celestial events than the Babylonians, they developed a multitude of cosmological models. The observational science of this could not establish whose theories were right, whose was wrong. Then biology. Aristotle was the first to undertake the classification of living organisms on a grand scale, covering the range from the most imperfect plants to the most perfect man, as he perceived the heresy. Before Aristotle, the common Greek notion was that man supplied the seed and that the role of the woman was similar to the soil. Communication. Systems for sending signals rapidly over long distance that were developed during this period have been important to the armies and empires, but perhaps the Aquilides' great advances in communication was the creation of the library at Alexandria, where nearly all the knowledge collected today that was stored was the most important one. Construction. Much of the construction of this period was more practical than the tombs and temples of prior centuries. Some of the structures built during this period have continued in use until today, although often repaired. This concludes my presentation. I hope I have been clear. Thanks for listening.